So yeah, we just see a lot of brands are like, well, we're already making this work. Why don't we just give more money to Meta versus putting money into another platform? Which is important because at some point Meta will change their algorithm or Google will, and then you're like, well, all our revenue's out the window now.
Welcome back to the High Ticket AI Systems Podcast. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Mr. Duane Brown. Duane, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. It's our pleasure. Now, without further ado, for the people listening, can you give us some context as to what you guys do, what the company does, and who you guys serve best?
Sure, yeah. We're an agency, so we help clients do agency things. So in our case, we do a lot of like paid advertising. So run ads on like Meta, which is like Facebook and Instagram, or run ads on TikTok or Google or Microsoft. Most clients and brands come to us more for the Google, Microsoft end of things. They think it's like some dark arts, black magic stuff. And they're like, I don't get it. Whereas Meta's like, put up an ad, push a button, you're good to go. See you tomorrow. And then beyond that, like clients don't come to it, but it's something we think about as like, business strategy, like what are we going to do in the ad accounts to help them achieve their goals in their business? So connecting those two halves together, because obviously there's different types of strategy. You got advertising strategy, marketing strategy, and business strategy. And so we think more at a business level to try to help clients run a more optimized business, more profitable. Because a lot of our clients, I'd say, are more on the creative end of things. They did something, they started a business because they had an idea for a product or whatever, but they're not really like a business person. And nobody really is a business person. You kind of have to like get experience to understand how that stuff is. But we try to help them take their experience from other dozen clients and help them make less mistakes and like cut down their path to success.
Two things. One, definitely want to dive into Google, Microsoft, because that is some black voodoo stuff. But when you can educate prospects or clients, that you now build a significant amount of trust with them. It's like, okay, you're smart in this one area. I didn't know that, so thank you for educating me. But more importantly, because they trust you, and you've done this dozens of times, when you say, "Hey, let's go in this direction because this will work," they say, "Okay, let's do it." Do you find that to be true whenever you educate or just come up with plans on behalf of your clients?
I mean, yes and no. I think like anything, right? Like we do educate because like if the client's smarter, they won't ask the same question over and over. Like we had a client let us go in April because for 6 months they'd ask the same question over and over. They didn't progress past level one, and we're like, we want to get you to level two and not have the same conversation, but they didn't get that. But I think one thing I've learned over the years is like at the end of the day, I'm a glorified consultant sometimes, right? My job is to tell you like what you should do or what I think you should do based on like, here's our 2 options or 3 options, 4 options. And then it's your business. You decide what you want to do. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not going to take it personally. We'll go in the direction you want and I'll support you. But then other clients, yeah, they'll listen and say, yeah, let's do that. That makes the most sense because I don't really have an opinion or I care. So there are clients who don't listen, that's fine. And there are clients who do listen, and that's great. Like a great example is a client we've had for like 5 years. I told him like a couple of years ago, look, I don't have any more ideas because you've literally rejected every idea I've had in 3 years. And so like at this point, it's either we try something new or you don't want to grow. You can't have say you want to grow and then reject every idea I have. And then eventually they listen to an idea I had and the idea worked because it was an idea we took from other clients that had already succeeded with doing that thing that I suggested. And so they become a little bit more malleable and sort of taking our suggestions and realizing that like they may love things a certain way, but the customers don't really care about that as much as they think the customers care about it.
For sure. And you always have to do what's best for the market. Like your customers will always give you the answers. One thing that I want to touch on is you took information over here and applied it over here. That actually, I've seen that work across other industries entirely. Like we're in the agency space. Cool. But for example, let's say something works in the car space or the, I don't know, aerospace as an example. We take this marketing idea. And if it works over there and we try it over here and we're the first ones to implement that marketing strategy, it's like, holy smokes, like we're on something pretty big right here. So I like what you said there. Getting back to Google and Microsoft. Sure, there are Google PPC agencies out there, but I haven't heard of a ton of Microsoft advertisers. Why that platform? What are the biggest nuances between them? And yeah, enlighten us.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of like, let's say there was no TikTok or Reddit or Snap or Meta, let's say those didn't exist for a second. If you think about it, it's like Google owns 95% of the market. Microsoft owns 5% of the market. So nobody's going to really focus on Microsoft because you wouldn't make enough money is the blunt thing, right? Like Microsoft makes all their money from like their B2B business and their like server business and stuff like that. And so for them, like Microsoft advertising is like change under your couch cushion. Whereas like Google is the opposite. They make 95% of the revenue from advertising. So they really care about it. And so finding an agency that does just Microsoft would probably be pretty rare. But we find for most of our clients, if we can get, let's say, 100 conversions a month on Google, maybe we'll get 5 or 10 conversions a month on Microsoft. But even if it was only 3 or 4 conversions a month on Microsoft, it's probably 3 or 4 conversions you would have gotten otherwise. So like, why wouldn't we do it? Like, if we can get more customers, let's get more customers. Just because obviously the workload to run Microsoft isn't going to be the same workload to run Google and stuff like that. So once we get Google working, we always shift to Microsoft and say, let's give it a shot. In 10 years, I only think of 2 clients. We can't get it to work. One was a B2B SaaS, and one is a current client we have that sells sort of like high-end electronics, like in Europe. And we're on our second attempt. We're going to give it a shot because we had a free credit from Microsoft for like $2,500 or whatever. But otherwise, clients can get it to work. They can get Google to work. You can get Microsoft to work, and buy yourself a steak dinner every month because you got a couple more sales.
No, absolutely. And from our experience, Microsoft is significantly cheaper for the same keyword, same like ad groups, all that fun stuff than Google because just less advertisers are on that platform. Is that true?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Sometimes it's the same, but yeah, usually it's cheaper because yeah, CPCs are cheaper, less competition. I'd say, to be honest, most people are just lazy. It's like, why am I going to spend all this time like set up this other platform where I'm not going to get a lot of sales? But like, real estate does really well in Microsoft. You can spend a lot of money there. We got a client who sells sort of I don't want to say accessories, but like if you think about like an office, there's like the covers for lights and there's like the covers for power outlets, stuff like that. They sell a lot of that stuff. Like that does really well on the platform. Cell phone cases does really well on the platform. So if you've got like a sort of generic type product that's very commodity like, you could probably spend a lot of money on Microsoft. So sometimes it's a hidden gem.
You're bringing up different verticals. Do you only work with e-com companies or do you work with other industries as well?
I mean, we do other industries, but I'd say with 9 of our business is e-commerce, sort of retail, direct to consumer. I'd say it's almost like a 33% switch between like retail and sort of e-com and D2C. Like we talked to a brand earlier today and they were like, oh, we're glad you worked with like brands who have like MAP pricing versus like some agencies just do D2C and some agencies, just do law and stuff like that. And even though I could probably focus on one of those 3 types of sort of commerce type brands, I like the variety personally. I think the team also likes the variety because then you're not just doing the same thing over and over where it can get a little boring.
I always bring this up. It depends what your goal is, right? Do you want to scale to the moon or do you want to make it fun? Because that's essentially what it comes down to. If you want a really scalable business and go like significantly far, then yeah, you have to niche down. But if you want like a lifestyle business or just have fun with your day to day, sure, you can definitely mix in other industries. And again, to each their own. I'm not saying what you're doing like is
Yeah.
wrong by any means. It's the goal, right? It's the
Yeah,
goal.
yeah. Like I want sort of somewhere between a lifestyle and maybe not scale, but whatever the step is before scale. So like make as much money as possible and try to enjoy along the way.
Absolutely. Because if you're not happy with what you're doing, man, what's the point? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Getting back to this here, are you a done for you agency or hybrid of consultancy and agency or just consulting?
I'd say probably more of a hybrid. Like we'd never sell a client just management without strategy. Like the recent strategy is kind of important because we got to like talk to reps. There's like betas you get every quarter from at least from Google and at least from Meta. And so figure out like which beta makes sense for a client. We had a client have a conversion tracking problem this month. We have to spend time on that. And so we not only charge clients for the research strategy as a separate fee, we would never sell it as a service without the management. The only way we'd do it is if like a client wanted like us to just do an audit or just do a consult. Well, then those would be one-offs and you don't have to buy the management. So we're definitely more of a hybrid. And sometimes people come and say, well, we don't want you to do the strategy. I'm like, well, if you knew the strategy, you wouldn't be hiring us. Like you kind of need both here. It's not like one or the other.
It's always strategy first. On that topic, Duane, can you talk to me about what goes into your guys' research strategy?
Yeah. I mean, it varies from every client a little bit. Most of our clients are in Shopify, which whether you love or hate Shopify, don't really care. But it's like easy to log in and see sort of the data you want in the back end. So some of the research figuring out like, okay, like what sells really well, talk with the client, like what's profitable, what's not profitable. Other times like looking at who the competitors are. It's doing an audit of Google Ads or Microsoft or whatever the ad account is and figuring out, okay, like where to spend money, where they're making money, like what's working, what's not working. So it's really just sort of digging into business, trying to understand like what's going on. Or the client's always going to understand their business better than us, but we're going to do our best job to kind of understand like what's going on so we can be successful. Because I don't want to, take on a client and then like not do the work we need to do to be successful. And then sometimes, yeah, we'll go look at competitors, what our competitors doing. Like a couple of years ago, we had a brand that just sold men's clothes and they sold like some American brands. They sold some brands from Europe. They sold like one brand called Portuguese Flannel. It's literally called Portuguese Flannel. It did really well. So then figuring out like, okay, what do other brands that just sell men's clothes, like what do they do? Like how's their site laid out? What is our site missing? And then sometimes we say, well, your website needs X, Y, and Z. Your product pages need this. Your mobile experience is really bad. In that client's case, they had not a lot, but they had a number of broken links that, broken links are not great, even if it's in the footer, because people are going to click it and then they can't go where they want to go. And that might, take away the trust factor. So a lot of it's just kind of figuring out like where things are broken, where things are working, and then figure out how do we like just sort of fix things and sort of head in the direction the client wants. And like any agency, we can't help everyone. It's like literally impossible. Sometimes people come to us and like, we can't help you. We had a client who did water filtration, and like we did everything I could think of, and we just couldn't get it to work. Like people just wouldn't convert. And I don't know if it's just a industry thing or like the product itself, but it's just the way it is sometimes.
No, for sure. Yeah, I just talking to a guy earlier today. We talked about segmenting the data. Hey, when that happens, by the way, segmenting the data, but like really making data-driven decisions. Like if you don't know what the F is going on in your business, like where traffic is coming from, what SKUs are selling the most, what's the most profitable, what's the most scalable, what's my lowest cost of acquisition for product A or the SKU, right? Like if you don't know this stuff, you're just flying by night and guessing. And on top of that, I assume you guys are doing like keyword research. What are people searching for? What are some hidden gems that we can utilize in our Google ad campaign on top of competitor websites research, like data in Shopify, all that fun stuff? I assume, right?
Yeah. We are doing keyword research and look at like the search term report in Google Ads and similar report in Microsoft and stuff like that. We generally launch with like shopping ads first when it comes to Google, just because they're more profitable. It's where our clients make most of the revenue. And we'd have to do keyword research to figure out like what search campaigns we want to launch. Google has a campaign type called dynamic search ads, which I think is going to get deep commissioned in like February 2027. But until then, it's a great campaign to sort of launch and like basically try to have Google scan your website, understand what you sell, and then try to find people who are doing searches online for your product. But you normally add all the keywords you're already bidding on as negative keywords to that campaign. So it kind of acts like a sweeper to find new keywords you wouldn't have thought of, because maybe people they call it pants, but some people call it bottoms, right? And those are like the same thing, but they would type it in differently. And so we definitely do keyword research where it makes sense and when it makes sense for a client, but search campaigns just don't, do as well as they used to, which is unfortunate.
For sure. And talk on the topic of strategy. Meta is a, how can I say this? I I know a lot about Meta. I used to own that agency. I listen to Jeremy Haynes, who does Buco Bucks on freaking Meta ads. So like I know the game with Meta. But for like your average agency that utilizes Meta ads on behalf of clients or like ecom brands or even ecom brands in general, the strategy is let the messaging and let the advertisement do the targeting, which is like a good thing and a bad thing, right? With Google, it is vastly different. Like there's a lot of thinking that goes behind it, which is why there's less Google PPC agencies that exist. And the funny thing about this, man, is you always hear ecom companies partnering with Meta ads or TikTok, but not a lot of Google. Where do you feel like the disconnect is? Why do you feel like people are not utilizing or ecom brands or not utilizing Google as much as they should? Like what's their limiting belief?
I think that the big thing, even during the pandemic, is like, uh, I think just Meta does a better job at marketing. That's what it comes down to. Like they do a better job of like convincing people to spend money on that platform than Google does, unfortunately. And I think because Meta, all things equal, is easier to run. People are like, well, this is already working. I'm just going to dump more money into it. And it doesn't matter just for paid ads. You can look at like SEO or email. Like people get so hooked on the drug that is Meta, they don't think of like diversifying their traffic to other platforms. Like they don't do SEO, they don't do like email, they don't do PR, they don't do influencer marketing. So they don't think about doing Google, or they tried it and didn't work. or they hired an agency or a freelancer and didn't work out, but that agency or freelancer didn't know what they were doing. I always say there should be like less people running campaigns. Like 80% of people out there probably shouldn't run campaigns because they're really bad at it. They got either no training, no education. They've only been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years during the pandemic. So they jumped on the bandwagon, but they actually don't know what they don't know. And so they've just been like winging it the whole time because the technology has gotten so much better in the last 5 years is you don't actually have to be really good most of the time. You can just set up a campaign and it will work. But when it doesn't work, you don't know what to do to fix it and make it better.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, yeah, we just see a lot of brands like, well, we're already making this work. Why don't we just give more money to Meta versus putting money into another platform, which is important because at some point Meta will change their algorithm or Google will. And then you're like, well, all our revenue's out the window now. Well, yeah, that's a problem.
Oh, for sure. Talk to me about the importance of selling the most profitable thing on your site opposed to selling what the client wants to sell.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's two things there. I mean, sometimes a client will want to sell a product, but it's like we can actually sell that product in the sense that like we'll run ads for it. People will click on the ad, but they won't buy it for whatever reason. It's an expensive product. It's not a product they want to order from you, whatever. Sometimes it's about explaining to a client, look, I get that you want to sell this product, but people don't want to buy this product online for whatever reason again. And then there's the other issue of like, okay, you've got 10 SKUs. You want us to advertise what you define as your hero product. And yes, you sell a lot of that hero product, but your margins are really bad. So trying to sell that product means that you're not going to make any money. Um, Versus let's sell this other product that isn't your hero product, but it has better margins and people do buy it. And so let's advertise that. So getting clients to realize that sometimes the easy thing isn't the right thing to do because you're not going to make any money because the goal in a capitalist society is to make money, versus the other product that like sells maybe not as well, but we probably could get it to sell even better if more people knew about it. Because people tend to sort of get really focused. Let's only be on Meta. Let's only advertise these products when you've got these products you could advertise. So sometimes it's also just about getting out of the client's way because they're in their own way. They've been doing things a certain way, but like what got you to here isn't going to get you where you want to go at the end of the day. So if you're at 500,000 and you want to get to 1 million, well, you're probably going to do things slightly differently to get to $1 million, or from $1 million to 5 million or 10 million, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And everyone makes decisions based on their own perspective, right? So if your perspective is making $1 million per year and the perspective you want to go to is 5 million per year, there's a massive disconnect between these decision-making processes, right? I think that's why a lot of people kind of get stuck because like you said, we only know what we know, which is the exact reason to always invest in business knowledge, personal development, mentors, people that have done that shit before. And like when you pay these mentors, coaches, consultants like yourself, you're buying speed. You're buying knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world is speed and knowledge not like the most valuable thing on this planet outside of, family, love, whatever? Like, from a business perspective, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think some people are just really cheap is the honest thing. Like some people don't want to spend the money, right? Some people think they know everything. So like, why would I like hire you? I've had people tell me I'm expensive and I'm like, I just value my time more than you do. Like there's only so many hours in the day and I don't want to be working for $200 an hour when I can bill other people $500 an hour, right? Because you're not just paying for like knowledge experience, you're paying for that depth of knowledge experience so that you can spend an hour on a task and not like a week on a task. But people, I think, also just don't value their time as much as they should. They often discount it more than they should because, like, well, I'm going to just do this thing for free and not pay this tool $1,000 a month. But I'm like, that tool's going to save you a whole week's worth of work. Why wouldn't you just pay $1,000 and spend that week doing operations or new product development or customer service or whatever it is to make your business better? But people don't think like that. They just don't appreciate their time as much as they should.
interesting, interesting. That's a very interesting topic to kind of dive into, but it's more of a mindset thing, right? It's like who that person is, personal development. It's like we can't help them immediately, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to convince people to hire me if they don't want to hire me. Well, if you don't want to hire me, I'm just going to move on because I've learned
For
trying to
sure.
convince people to hire you who don't want to hire you just doesn't work out. Those are the worst type of clients.
And I feel like you can't convince anyone of anything. You know what I mean? Like when they purchase or decide to work with you, they decided to work with you, you know?
Yeah.
On the topic, not on the topic, but shifting gears here, my friend, AI is everywhere. What is your opinion on utilizing AI? Does a company utilize AI? What does the industry get wrong about AI? Talk to us.
Yeah. I mean, we use AI, I don't. love it every day, but I definitely use it. And I know clients definitely use it because sometimes they'll send us an email and I'm like, this feels like you went to AI for these answers to these questions. But like, we use it from a couple of perspectives. Sometimes it's to solve like a technical problem, like there's a conversion tracker problem that we haven't seen before, and we've tried to like research it online, and they'll ask AI. And then there's other things where like using AI to help sort of create ads for clients, whether it's ads we use in like demand gen on Google or use it on Meta. So you kind of use AI from like those two perspectives. We don't really use it for reporting, which I know some people use it for reporting, but most of our reporting is already automated. So to use it just seems a bit silly for us. And then I think, as an industry, I think we're like so hyped up on AI that we're kind of drinking our own Kool-Aid when sometimes like it's not that great. Back to the point I said about people who don't know what they don't know. The problem with AI is if you ask a question and you don't know that's the wrong answer or that's literally not even possible to do in the ad account, you've now taken advice that actually doesn't make sense. It's the same challenge of hiring an agency. You trust them, but if they give you the wrong advice, you don't know it's the wrong advice. So part of that, I think, is people need to be better educated on whatever they're going to hire someone for. They don't need to be an expert, but I think they need to be better educated. And then they need to like not realize that like going to AI is okay, yes, but like you can't trust it 100%. Like you probably should trust a human if you've hired someone who's competent and knows what they're doing. I think we just get a little too comfortable. I saw this paper 2 weeks ago, and they were doing these tests with AI in like a sandbox environment, and these AI tools try to like escape the sandbox and go on the internet, and then convince people with a phishing scheme to give them access to things they shouldn't have access to. And so that shit is like Skynet all the way. Okay, so like we're already at the point where Skynet will be a thing in less than 10 years, and so I think we just need to have a lot more. Uh, Guardrails, roadblocks with AI because it's getting smarter and better. And I think there's going to become a point where we don't know that it's smarter than us and it's going to fuck us over. We just don't know that yet. Some people just getting a little too cozy with AI.
I am actually in full agreement with you. I think a lot of people rely, and I've been guilty of this, rely on the accuracy and just assume everything is correct with AI. And then when you go to verify, it's completely freaking wrong. And if you don't know that it's wrong and you're building processes, building systems on top of a flawed foundation, the entire infrastructure is fucked. Like it is completely, completely messed up. And you have no idea, which is why I'm a firm believer in educating yourself, right? Or verify the information. And this is like Jeremy Haynes's, like his proposition. It's like, take some responsibility for your success or failures in your life, right? You can't blame anything else but yourself when it comes to not knowing the information. Go out there and find the information, right? Go out there and hire somebody that knows what they're
Mhm.
doing. Stop blaming outside sources, your lack of knowledge on other people. So on that topic of AI, like I think I asked AI to do something in a software and it was like so wrong. Like you said, if you try to do something that AI tells you to do in a Google ad account, but that doesn't even exist in the ad account, it's like, what, like you're dumb. And it says it with the utmost certainty. Like, no, like do this. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you
Yeah.
piss me off, man. You piss me off.
Yeah, it's not great. So it's people, yeah, need to educate themselves just to make things a little bit more secure. I think AI is great. I think technology is good. I love technology. Um, but like you need to know like what you're going to do and how the technology is going to help you like shortcut the distance to like do the thing you want to do.
For
Um,
sure. So I guess the way we utilize it internally is like things that can be automated that don't really need a human. It's like API keys, like, hey, do this, do that. Definitely it's done, like easy. When it comes to thinking creative things, sure, we'll bounce ideas off of it, but I always do the top level, high level thinking. And then I try to figure out, okay, this is like the project that I want to execute. How can I use AI to speed this up and make it accurate? Opposed to like, hey, AI, what should I do? Like, make the idea for me. Okay, now execute the whole thing. It's like, when you rely on AI to do the execution and thinking, more importantly, and thinking, I think you're cooked. I think you're not going to get as good results, right?
mhm. Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. What else should the people know about working with you?
Yeah. This has probably got me fired for a few jobs, I'm sure, over the years, but I'm just really honest. Like we're all adults here. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it or like hold your hand like you're a child. Like let's just like if you make a mistake, I'm gonna tell you. But reversal, if I make a mistake or someone on the team makes a mistake, just tell us we made a mistake so we can like solve it, fix and get around. But that's not everyone's. Some people want to be held and cuddled and stuff like that. And I'm just like, there's, 40 hours in a week, 35 if you take out lunch. And so we're trying to like maximize our time and efficiency and making sure we can get to where we want to go. And, we only work with a dozen clients at any given time. Lots of agencies might work with 15 or 20 or 30 clients where they're maybe not churn and burn, but they maybe take on more clients than they would like to, because their fees are maybe a lot cheaper. And so I think if you're looking to hire someone who takes on less clients, your fees are probably going to be a little bit higher than working with other people. And some clients have said your fees are higher, but then they hired us and then they liked that they hired us because they know that we're not just trying to like push buttons. We're here to figure out like how to make the business better and stronger over time. Because a client who makes more money is more profitable is more likely to stick with us. We've got couple clients past 7 years this year, a couple past 6 years, one past 5 years. So the goal every year is to figure out how do we find more clients who will be, here in 5, 6, 7 years, because it just makes the business easier to run as a whole. And then, I try not to work weekends. I try not to work evenings unless it's like Q4 and the week before, Black Friday. I'll talk to you on Monday when I get in the office because like we're not saving lives. We're not doctors. There's no real emergency and stuff like that. And I know some people treat their business like it's life or death and it's emergency, but maybe you'd like make more money if you were like less stressed and like a bit more organized. Um, so I try to keep it real with clients and be honest, but I expect that this sort of honesty and reversal. And then we'll also just not take on clients who, aren't a good fit. Like we have an audit form we have people fill out and it's got like, what are your goals? What's your profit margin? Where does your revenue come from? What do you spend? Just all the basic questions I think most people would ask on a phone call. I've decided, I guess 5 years ago now, that we're just going to put it in a Google sheet and get them to fill it out because I don't want to go on a phone call if you're not going to be the right fit. And so part of that is like, you've got probably at least a 20% margin in your business, not that we're not taking on clients at 10 or 15% margin, but like, that's really hard to run a business at 10 or 15%. Like 20% is kind of the low end, unless of course your goal is like just to break even. But most clients want to be profitable, and then from there it's been easier to like pick clients because it's like, okay, well you've got a good profit margin. Your average order value is really good. You don't got a bajillion SKUs. You've got 100, 1,000, whatever it is. You've got a bit of revenue coming from SEO or email. So we've gotten picky as I've gotten older to try to find, I don't want to say the right client because it feels like the wrong thing to say, but a client who would be like a good fit because they've got the good fundamentals, like advertising, especially paid ads, can't fix a broken business. It can only fuel the success of an already successful or potentially successful business. And part of that comes down to like we talked earlier, is just unit economics. Like what's your profit margin? What does it cost to ship? What does it cost to buy your material? If you're in Canada or America or the UK, are you buying it locally? Are you buying it in another country, another continent? So we try to really figure out like who we're going to take on. Like I have a call after this actually with people who do like custom playing cards and their margins are really good. But I don't understand how they're funding the business because they spend more money than they make every month. So I've got to have a whole conversation of like, how are you making these numbers work? Because some of these numbers don't actually make sense. And I don't know if they put an extra zero somewhere or missed a zero somewhere. So we're really big on trying to figure out like unit economics of business so we can take on a business that's already healthy and just help it grow versus trying to like fix an already broken business. Because if your business is broken, it's probably broken because you don't want to take somebody else's advice. And I don't want to spend time trying to convince you to do something you don't want to do.
That's such a good point on all the topics that you said. Few directions we can go. One thing that I noticed is you only work with 12 clients at a time. Talk to us about the thought process behind that.
It's just easier to manage. Like I'm on every client call. We've got like a team of 3. And so each person has like a set of clients and then I'm on each call with that person. So we do kind of like, I think if you're a developer, you say it's like co-development. So we have like co-advertise, I guess you'd call it. So that way when that person's away on vacation, I could just step in and like run the accounts while they're away for a week or 2 on vacation with the best life possible. So yeah, we try to sort of just make sure we take on less clients. We charge each client a bit more money, but we give each client more attention than we would if we charged you, let's say $1,000 a month, right? We might charge you $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month. So we just found that like if we charge more, take on less clients and give every client more attention, it's kind of easier to remember each client's business and what they sell because every one of our clients literally sells something different. We've got mountain bikes, pajamas, cases for like Lego if you're a big Lego nerd. We got a client, like I said earlier, that sells accessories. We got a client who sells like fabric, which I never thought I'd have a client who sells fabric, but they've been around 40 years. They sell fabric. They've got a burgeoning e-commerce business and it's been a slow to grow it. But, we would have clients who all sell different things. I think the closest thing is we've got maybe 2 or 3 clients who are all in sort of like the sports hobby area, but each of those sells a different kind of sports hobby. And so, yeah, just taking on 12 clients makes it easy to remember who's doing what do we promise, what do we agree to. It's easy to roll out like processes and systems and operationalize things. Plus, it just means we don't have to like, if we're an agency with, let's say, 20 clients or 50 clients, if you're losing a client, let's say a client a quarter or 2 clients a quarter, you've got to spend a lot of time acquiring more clients to replace them, right? Because I think the more clients you have in the bigger agency, you need to bring on more clients to support that operational expenses. So like small team, small client list, get to know each client. I know a few clients' birthdays. I know a few clients' kids. I know a few clients' partners. I met them in person because I'm in Toronto, so we have some clients in Toronto. So I just found it just made life easier. I used to want to have like 30 clients, but I realized that's a lot of people, a lot of work, and I don't know if I want that. And then I realized I don't actually want that. I want to just charge every client more money and have less clients.
For me, I got this from Jeremy Hayes. I bring him up all the time because he's just, I don't know, man. Respect him, educator, very
You're a bit
chill.
of a fanboy. It's cool. I like that.
I'm a fanboy. Shout out Jeremy if you ever watch this shit, bro. But his business model is like, how the fuck can I make $1 million per month working with 10 clients? He's like, okay, how can I make $100,000 per client? That was his like reverse engineer. So for me, I am going to be fully transparent. Like I'm thinking about it the same way. How can I work with less clients but make way more money per client? Because it's way less, not $1 million per month. Like honestly, I'm good on that. But how can I make more money per client and work with less of them? And I think it just comes down to pricing and how you structure the deal, right? The unit economics for our own agency.
Yeah.
I think your pricing model, like subconsciously, dictates the value from the prospective client. What do I mean by that? If you charge $1,000, that's cheap. You're going to get $1,000 worth of work. And the individual that is so excited to pay you $1,000 is a dog shit client. The individual that says $1,000, that's all you're charging me, no fucking way I'm working with you. It probably sucks. So like you want to find the business owners that think 5K is like, oh, I'm glad you charge 5K per month because that means you're probably good at what you do, you know? I don't know. Like, I love that model, right? I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you look at the industry, like in any advertising or marketing, like there are clients who think $1,000 expensive, right? So again, those aren't good clients. I agree with you 100%, but there's clients who think $1,000 expensive. Like they don't, especially in Canada, like Canada or e-commerce industries, you know, a good 5 years behind the UK and America and Europe. And so clients don't understand that, yeah, you would pay $5,000 for someone who's really good. You wouldn't pay $1,000 for someone who's really good. And so I think people who aren't exposed to what the true cost is to hire someone who's really good at their job. Like once someone told me that I'm more expensive than the lawyer, and I'm like, maybe the lawyer's just not very good. Like I don't know what to tell you. This is just what I cost to hire someone. So I think sometimes the challenge is, yeah, some people just don't realize like this is what it costs to hire a professional for something. And I try to tell clients it's kind of like hiring a plumber or any other or your dentist. Like they just charge what they charge. You can go to $100 dentist or you can go to $1,000 dentist. I'm the $1,000 dentist. You don't want to work with me because you think I'm expensive. That's okay, but you kind of get what you pay for at the end of the day.
You get
Some people need to go through the $100 dentist or the $100 marketer to understand that like $100 may be a lot to you, but that's not hiring the person you want to hire to do the job you want them to do.
Absolutely. Duane, such good advice. Such good conversation, my friend. Where can they find you if they do want to talk more about the company or just to you?
Yes, I mean, companies like Take Some Risks. So we've got like takesomerisk.com, obviously. I'm trying to spend more time on LinkedIn. So just Duane Brown on LinkedIn if you prefer LinkedIn, though I don't love LinkedIn every day, but I do try to spend a bit of time there throughout the week because I know it's a place to be online. If you're on Reddit, I spend way too much time on Reddit. So if you're on like the PPC subthread or the Google Ads subreddit, I'm just Fathom53 on there. And that's kind of where I try to spend my time online. I try to spend less time online when I'm not at work as much as I can, because obviously we can spend all the time we want on the internet and we'd never like lift our faces up from our screens and stuff like that. But if you want to like chat or work with us, probably just emailing us from our website's the easiest. I'll get back to you within like probably that day, if not the next day, if it's a work day, and then see if it like makes sense to chat about stuff.
Awesome. Duane, again, thanks for joining us, my man, and best of luck to you.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.